Hello, my name is Dakota Eliason. My student ID number is 311-8483. This video is for NFDN2003, section OP30, and the skill that I'm going to be demonstrating today is opening a sterile field. So the first step would be choosing my workstation. It should be a table or a work surface that is above waist height, otherwise it's considered to be contaminated. For the purpose of this video, I am sitting in a chair at a table because I don't have a table that is high enough to be above my waist level. So just for demonstration purposes, I am sitting down, but typically you would be standing. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is making sure that my workstation is clean with antiseptic wipe. So I've got that here. And then we will be needing to wait until our workstation is completely dry before we start setting up our sterile field. But while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to be performing some hand hygiene as well. Now that my workstation is dry, I'm going to be picking up my sterile kit here. This has been opened because I was not happy with my first couple of videos. However, it would be sealed when you do this for real. So I would be inspecting it to make sure that there's no damage, there's no holes, nothing like that, as well as checking the expiration date, because if it is past the expiration date, it would be considered unsterile and you would have to select a new one. But in this case, it is good until October 2028. So I'm going to place it in my area here, pulling back the seal and removing the package from inside while this goes in the garbage. I'm going to be taking the top one and opening it away from me. Inside are my forceps, which I'm going to be holding with the tips up to make sure that they do not become contaminated. And I'm going to continue opening my package. When I'm opening my package, I'm only touching the outer 2.5 centimeters because that area is considered contaminated. And finally, I'm going to open this bottom one here. So inside we have all of our pieces for our sterile kit. I'm going to use the forceps here, and I'm going to move those items out of here. Again, not having any contamination. Oops. And I'm making sure that I don't touch the inside here. I'm trying to make sure that it's not flipping out. That's better. I just realized that by lowering my hands here, I've contaminated the area. So in that situation, I would need to start over, unfortunately. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to keep going. So these forceps I can place down, but when I place them down, I need to make sure that the area that I have touched is in that 2.5 area border because it's already considered contaminated. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my sterile solution here. So when you are looking at your sterile solution, again, you're going to be checking to ensure that it isn't expired, which in this case it is not, and making sure that we're looking at the right solution. Here we have our normal saline, so we're looking good here. So I'm going to remove the lid. Another thing that I'm doing is I have my hand over the label to make sure that if there is anything that spills, it isn't making the label faded or, making it illegible. So when I'm pouring my solution, I'm making sure that there's no splashing happening here, because if I do splash onto my field, it could strike through the material, and then again, it is considered contaminated and I would need to start over. If this is going to be reused, we would need to label it so that, according to agency policy, so that it is either used within that time frame or removed after that time frame. So I'm going to put that away. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding some gauze to my sterile work area here. So I have a little package here of 2x2 gauze, and I need to make sure that, again, I'm not contaminating it. So I'm going to use that no-touch technique. Again, garbage. I'm going to just open this. I can also use my forceps here, making sure that I'm only touching the part that I touched before, to remove my gauze and adding it to my field here. And again, this goes in the garbage. The last thing that I'm going to be doing is preparing my garbage bag as well. So I have my garbage bag here. I'm going to take it out of my field because I want to make sure that if it touches anything, like for instance my workspace outside of my sterile area, that could also be another source of contamination. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold the edge over so that if anything does touch this area, that's okay because it's going to be the inside of the bag. And then later we can close up our garbage bag without there being, we're not getting our hands covered in whatever kind of bodily fluids that we've been in contact with. And we're just putting it off to the side so that it is accessible, but not contaminating our sterile field. And lastly, I just wanted to verbalize that my areas of opportunity here was the hands that I put below the table because they were below waist height. So now they would be considered contaminated. So I would have to start over. Or conversely, if I hadn't touched anything after I'd put my hands below waist height, I could perform fresh hand hygiene as well. And that is all for today. Thank you.